In this video, we're going to do a couple of things. We are going to look at the idea of helper functions, and we're going to use them to create something that I call widgets. Widgets are little things that you could use in your program to make it so that the user can interact with the program. And we've already done a bit of that. I believe we've made a slider and we've made a knob. I don't know that. Oh, and we made a switch. Today we're gonna redo the slider and we're gonna make a new variation of the switch, and we're gonna put them together. And we're going to use helper functions to make everything work. So let's go ahead and get started. Go ahead and type in the up here with hashtags what we're doing. Let me just zoom in just a little bit, just so you can see what I'm doing. I may need to zoom out in a little bit later. And then go ahead and hit these 3 bars and then save as. And I guess we'll just call this widgets, because that's really kind. And if you want to call it widgets 1, that's fine. And and then go ahead and hit save. All right, so we're going to begin by making the slider that we've made before. We're going to call this slider parts. And for the slider, we wanted to make we made a track, and that track was a rectangle, and it was at 100, 50, 10, 200, fill equals gray. That's the track for the slider. And then the slider itself was also a rectangle, and that's 90, 50, 30, 10. And by the way, my hope is that you are getting faster and faster at typing the code. And again, you want to be using both hands on the keyboard in home position, and if you're not getting faster with your typing speed, I want you to consider going to monkey type, and I want you to consider do some typing speed tests and work on getting that typing speed down. It will pay off. It's an investment in time that will pay off many times over. The bottom line is this, if you can save the time you're typing, it means you can get stuff done more quickly, which means you can have more free time to do whatever the heck you want. Okay, anyways, back to this. There's going to be a lot of typing today, and that's why I was thinking maybe that it'd be good if you were working on your typing skills. The other thing is, aside from the slider itself, we'd like to know what the value of the slider is, and we're going to call that setting. I could have called it something else, but I'm just going to call it that. And that's going to be a label with a value of 0 initially, and we'll put it at 200, 150. That's the center. And then we'll set the size equals to 36. And so far this code is not doing a whole lot. And we are going to add one extra little thing. We're going to add a shape that we can control the size of using the slider. And that shape is going to be a circle, and we'll put it in the lower right corner, 300, 300. We'll make a radius of 50 initially. And we will initially set the color equal to light blue. Okay, now let's take a look and let's see what happens when we run this code so far. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this. Whenever this thing pops up, it looks like it wants you to click on the link, but don't let them fool you. Clicking on the link is not what you want. You want to click anywhere on that blue to make it go away. If you click on the link, you're going to go full screen and you're going to be missing some stuff, so don't do that. I'm a little annoyed that they keep putting that link in there. Anyways, so far this doesn't do anything. If I hit run and I move my mouse around, nothing happens. Okay. So let's put in the code. Now we're also going to add a switch. So let's go in and make the switch parts. Now there's just going to be 2 parts to the switch. What the switch looks like when it's up and what it looks like when it's down. We'll start with switch down, and that will be a circle, and we'll put it at 305, 55, 20, and we'll make the fill color equal to gray. So it'll look a little bit like a shadow. And then switch up equal, by the way, notice the spelling of down. I just used DN so that these two are the same length, so everything lines up. And we'll make that a circle. And by the way, I'm going to delete this. I want to remind you guys, with the keyboard, if I hold the shift key down and hit down arrow, it's real easy to just copy that whole line, and then down arrow and up arrow, and then Control V to paste. And then I just have a lot less stuff that I've got to type. And it'll make it so that I probably make fewer mistakes. This 305 needs to become 300. The 55 needs to become 50. The 20 stays 20. It'll still have a radius of 20. But instead of the fill being gray, we'll make the fill blue. And then let's go ahead and run and see what that looks like. So here we go. So now you can see it looks a little bit like a three-dimensional button. And we'll see. I'm going to add what I think is a neat little 3D effect. I hope you like it. But, oh, and here's how we'll do it. We're going to set initially switch up dot visible equal, oh, this is interesting. I was going to set them, I guess when I was writing the code earlier, I was going to set it visible equal true, but that's already done by default, so we can skip that. Okay, now we're going to make a function that is a helper function. And the helper function is, we're going to call it press switch. So def press uppercase switch, and then x comma y. I think we'll be needing the x and the y, and then colon enter. Okay. Oh, by the way, I'm going to go ahead and add a few lines to the bottom so that my code can stay up nice and high so it's easy for you to see. All right. So we will make sure that we are, excuse me, we'll make sure that we are down exactly one tab indented. And we're going to do something new here. We're going to use, well, not, I think we may have done it before, but this is something that comes up in Unit 5. It's called nested conditionals. We're going to do an if statement within an if statement. So first I'm going to check to see if switch up dot hits x comma y. What that does is this hits method associated with the switch up shape checks to see if the switch up shape is in the same area where the mouse XY is, okay? And so we'll use that in order to make the switch react. And by the way, this method has a value of either true or false. If the XY of the mouse is where the switch up is, this value will be true. If the XY of the mouse is not where the switch is, this value will be false and this code will not run. Okay, so if the other thing we're going to check for is if switch down dot visible equal true. If switch down is visible, then we want the switch to pop up. In other words, we're going to make this switch so it toggles. We're going to make it so we can push on it to push it down, push it down, and we can push on it to bring it back up. So if the switch is already, if switch down is visible, then that means that the switch is in the up position. And so we will set switch down dot visible equal to false. We'll turn that off. And we'll move switch up down so it looks like you've pressed it. So switch up dot center x, we will set that equal to 305. And then switch up dot center y, we will set that to 55. And that's pretty good so far. And again, I told you we were going to have a nested conditional. We put this if statement inside of this if statement. So both things have to be true in order for all this code to run. We both have to have the mouse in near the switch or on the switch, and the switch down has to be visible. So let's go ahead and hit run and see what happens. So you'll notice when I hit run that you can see the gray area down here. That is switched down and it is visible. So if I right now nothing's going to happen because we gotta get the on mouse press function written. So let me go ahead and do that. Okay, so def will define a function on mouse press. This is really a built-in function for CMU. And what it does is whenever you press the mouse, it sets X and Y with whatever the mouse position is. I'm going to remind you, I'm going to see if I can remind you that when we are writing code and we are in the canvas, there's like an XY down here, and now I can't see it, of course. Maybe we got to zoom out more. I don't know where the XY went. Oh, maybe I got to pull this down. There we go. This XY that you see down here is the XY that on mouse press gets whenever you click the mouse. And I'll remind you that when you're looking at code examples or exercises in CMU, they usually use mouse X, comma mouse Y. It doesn't matter which we use as long as we use the variables consistently. So if we put X, Y in as parameters, we better darn well use them in the function below. Okay, so in the on mouse press, what we're going to do is we're going to call the function press switch. The name of the function is press switch, and so when we call it, we just give the name, just like if I was calling one of you. Okay, if I'll leave it at that. I would call you by your name. So I'm going to pass along to the press switch helper function X comma Y, which comes from the mouse press parameters. And now if I go and I hit run, and I move my mouse around the canvas, if I move my mouse over the switch and then press, I get that action that makes it look like I've pressed the button. Pretty sweet, huh? I hope you're as excited as I am. Okay, anyways, so we have more to do with press switch, but I just wanted to give you I wanted to give you a result that you could, where we could feel like we had some level of success already. I mean, if all we did was this, you'd still have done quite a bit today. Okay, so we're gonna finish up press switch because we want to be able to make it so the switch goes up and down when we press it. Right now, if I hit run and I press, it only goes down. I'm pressing the mouse again and again. It's just staying there. So we're gonna write we're gonna write the else part of this if right here, and you'll notice that the else is nested under this if switch up dot hits. So all of this stuff is nested. We have to be touching this in order for any of this code to run. Okay, so else. It's going to be pretty similar to what we did here, so I'm just going to copy this code, and you should too. Oh, and again, let's get used to using the keyboard. I'm going to hold the Shift key, hit down arrow, and now that I've highlighted all that, I'm going to go Control C, and then go down here and go Control V, and that's just a super easy way to be efficient with our code using the keyboard. Okay, so now we're going to make it so that if switch down visible equals true, then we want the button to go down. But if switch down visible is not true, then we want the button to come up. So what we'll do is all of a sudden we'll make switch down visible true. That way we'll see that gray shadow, and we'll move the blue part of the button up a little bit and to the left. And what that'll do is that'll make it so it looks like it's a shadow. So I'm going to go ahead and hit run. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click on the button. And then I'm going to click again and click again and click again and click again. And now I've got this effect that looks like a button being pressed. Yay, super exciting. Okay, next. We'd like to make the slider work. So we're going to go ahead and add another helper function. Now, the last time you and I made a slider work, we did it directly in on mouse move. Now what we're going to do is make a helper function. So today is going to be a huge dose of helper functions for you. We're going to call it move slider, and we're going to provide it with a value. that value will be the position of the slider. And we will set the slider dot center y equal to whatever that value is that we pass in. And then we will check to see, we want to make sure that the slider doesn't go off the top or the bottom of the track. Okay, so we will check to see if the slider dot top is less than or equal to 50. Then we will set the slider dot center y equal to 50. And let's check out, in order to test this, we're going to need to make a on mouse move function. So we will define on mouse move and x comma y, and again that x y is where the mouse is at any particular moment in time. And then we will call the move slider function, and the way we do that is we call it by its name, just like if I was telling you, hey, come on over here, Steve, Fred, Jenny. So anyways, let's go ahead and let's in on mouse move, let's call move slider, and we will pass to move slider the y position of the mouse. Now we should be able to test out this move slider program. Let's go ahead and hit run. And then I'm going to move my mouse up and down. And the main thing I wanted you to see is that if I try to go up to the top, the slider just sticks, even though my mouse keeps going. The reason for that is because if slider top is less than or equal to 50, I set it back to 50. So it will never go above, it'll never go below 50, okay? Now, we want to do the same thing for the bottom. Right now, I can go off the bottom, so we will fix the bottom of the slider. If slider dot bottom is greater than or equal to 250, colon, slider dot center y equals 250. Okay, now we can go ahead and hit run, and now we've got the slider going up and down, and it won't go off the track. And we can click this button back and forth. And so we got a whole bunch of functionality going in this app, and you'll notice that we have widgets now. We have a slider and we have a button. Okay, now the other thing that I want to do is I want to make it so that this value, this 0, gets updated. And one way we can do that, we called that value, that label with the 0, we called that setting. So what we're going to do here is in move slider, we will change setting dot value and set it equal to slider dot center y. Now, I could set it equal to the mouse y position, but then if the mouse y goes above or below the track, well, let me just show you. I'm just going to go ahead and take the value from the on mouse move, which is a y, which gets put into value, and I'll do it here. Let's go ahead and see what happens. I'm going to go ahead and hit run, and you'll notice that the value here changes as I move the mouse up and down. But watch what happens if I go too high. If I go below 50, the value down there changes to a number below 50, even though this guy stops. So the better way to do this is to take slider dot center y and use that to set the value of this setting here. And now if I go up, I'm at the lowest it can go is 50, and if I go down, the highest it can go is 250. And what else? Oh, you'll notice that we put this circle over here, and that circle we called it shape. And I just wanted to show you a couple of neat things we can do once we have widgets in place in our app. One thing we could do is we could take that shape and we could make it bigger or smaller based on the slider. Now, I want you to take a moment and try to remember, how would I change the size of this circle? What code am I about to write that will use this slider to change the size of this circle? I want you to hit pause on the video, and when you're ready, go ahead and hit play, and then I'll show you the answer. Okay. I'm assuming that you paused the video. I'm going to go ahead and show you what to do next. Since that's a circle, we can change its size by doing shape.radius. If it was a rectangle, we'd use a different property. Okay, so anyways, we will set that equal to slider dot center Y. And when we do that, we're going to go ahead and hit run. And now you can see I can change the size of that circle. Oh, the only thing I don't like is that the circle is covering stuff up. So let's go back up. Do you remember how to make it so that that shape goes underneath instead of on top of everything? Why don't you pause the video, see if you can remember what to do, and if you can, do it. Otherwise, I'm going to show you in just a moment. Okay, once again, I'm going to assume that you paused the video. Here's what we need to do if we want to bring that shape and put it in the back. Well, there's actually a couple ways to do it. But one easy way to do it is just make it so that this shape is drawn first before these other things. Let's see what that does. I'm going to hit run. And when I go back up and down, we can now see the shape is below the slider and the setting value. Now, one last thing. What we're going to do is we are going to make it so that when we click the button, I want to change the color of the shape. So what we'll do is we'll go back to press switch. And when we're pressing the button, what we'll do is we will change the color of this shape. Now, before I show you the code, again, I'd like you to pause the video and see if you can remember what I'm gonna write there in order to change the color of that shape. Okay, I'm hoping that you paused the video. Now I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna take shape and do dot fill and then set that equal to whatever color I want. In this case, I'm gonna set it to a darker blue than what it currently is. And then if I press the button again, I want the shape to come back to whatever it was. So shape.fill equals light blue. And now if I hit run, now I can change the size of the shape. And if I go over to the button, I can click on it and change the color of the shape. And if I click on the button again and again, I change the color of the shape back and forth. By the way, this code right here is known as a toggle. And a toggle switches something on and off. And this comes up again and again throughout the exercises in CMU. Anyways, I can go ahead and change the color to dark blue and make it a very big circle, or change it to light blue and make it a very big circle. Anyways, this is probably our longest video, but you can see that there was a lot to cover. I hope you were able to get through it all okay. And if you can think of any way that you'd like to customize it and make it your own, I'd love for you to do that. Maybe you could try making the shape a rectangle and then change its size instead of making the shape a circle. That'd be fun. Anyways, I will leave you at that. When you're done writing the code and everything's working, I want you to call me over and show me.